really meant for anything quite like this. It was originally put together just for if I'm understanding this correctly, it was particularly put together for business meetings and such. And even in that aspect, it was still very, very infant in nature. Um, but the technology has grown a little bit here, and it's still very, very small. But it still enables people to go and have a television show like you do, or what have you, and actually see somebody and speak to them. It could be Seattle to Buffalo. It could be L.A. to China. Either way, you still have it, but it's still very infant, and it still has a lot of room to grow.
Well, I think that it does also. Online stuff. Again, parents. I want to say this to you that not every website on a computer or that your kids would visit may be bad or questionable. There's an awful lot of things on the web that are very good websites, and a lot of kids go to these websites. And that being said, I would also, as far as the internet goes, be mindful to tell parents also that it's always a good idea to watch what your children are doing. Watch what they're typing in a chat box or instant messages or whatever this way, lines of communication. Because unfortunately, and as society has progressed to the point where it is, there is an awful lot of online child predators that are actually out there. And I know that for the flight sim community that Brandon and I both that we belong to and that we both have created, that it is completely one thing to have a bunch of people in there, but everybody having fun, but there again, adult content and adult language and innuendos and things have never been tolerated or acceptable. Now back to the question of video game industry and how that it's changed your life. How has it either interrupted or displeased or any of that? How does your family deal with it?
Well, it's kind of a double-edged sword there. I like to spend as much time as I possibly can enjoying the video games that I have. I like to spend as much time, flying on our flight sim server. But I also like spending a lot of time playing my video games on my console system on the television. But as you know, I'm a stay-at-home dad. I can't spend as much time as I'd like to, and sometimes I'll spend a little bit too much time on it, and I'll hear it a little bit, but you have to you really have to try and keep that balance between family life and games. Games are fun, games are nice, but it's not nearly as important as the family life, and you really got to be careful to balance the two, because although having fun with your family is great, having fun with your video games is also great. If you don't keep them both in check, you're going to get into a little bit of a scuffle.
Well, now, I guess my next question or comment, you had brought up before something very interesting, Brandon, about video games and some of the new ones, and some of the kids and even young adults even going out and simulating in the real world what was actually portrayed in a video game. How dangerous is that for our society?
I'm sorry, I missed your question.
How dangerous is it in our society, Brandon, for adults and teenagers alike to at times to be using what they see in a video game and try to portray that in reality?
It's actually incredibly dangerous. I can't think of a reason why it wouldn't be dangerous. There's nothing in a video game really that you can reenact or that I think is human nature anybody would even be willing to reenact that isn't violent. Um, I can't quite see, a video game where it's very simple jumping over, a pit. I'm pretending there's a pit there and jumping over it. I don't really see a whole lot of people, kids anyway, reenacting that. Adults and teenagers, if they're going to reenact anything, it's going to be something violent. And I mean that I'm just, you know, taking that from what I've seen in the news.
Well, I think that, looking at the news, of course, bad news always travels faster than good news does. It always has. However, seeing and hearing stories about people, young adults and older adults and even children simulating in the real world what was portrayed in a video game. I mean, a kid may get the message, or a young adult may get the message that it is fun to jump off a cliff, and in the real world think, hey, well, this is just like a video game. So by saying that, do you think that maybe some of the games that are out there and the technology behind it, that it is getting too realistic as to what happens in the real world?
It's getting ridiculously realistic, and that's a big part based on the graphics that are now involved with these games. It started out with two-dimensional black and white, Pong type games to, unbelievably bloody, realistic, high definition images of disgusting things that teenagers and adults find enticing on these video games. That's, I think, primarily the problem, is that the main focus on these games is, can you get me better graphics? It's always about the graphics. Can you get me better graphics? I want something to look so lifelike that I won't buy any other game except for yours. When you do that, you give these developers and these producers the opportunity to really sit down and look at what technology is available and make blood and guts and disgusting stuff look very, very real. And that is going to become a problem, and it already has become a problem to teenagers and adults alike.
Well, how much do you think that the new version, new reality video games and things that are out there now, and some even that are in development, how much of that do you think stems actually from reality and what happens outside your front door?
Well, I don't. You're asking me whether or not I think that what they put in video games is close to what's going on in real life?
Yes, absolutely.
I'd say it's embellished unbelievably in video games. And when you have embellishment on violent acts, you then subject it to somebody who's not necessarily old enough to see that and say, you know what, it's a video game. This is not something that you can go out and do in real life. And whether or not that particular child says whether or not they're capable of discerning fact from fiction, nonetheless, you're still going to have one or two or three that are going to look at this and go, this is pretty realistic. I think I could go out and do this, and that's not going to be an issue. But the gaming industry is taking reality and embellishing it way overboard. They're taking a small thing and making it huge, and then putting it in the eyes of people that, not necessarily, in my opinion, are ready to be looking at images like that.
Well, from my own standpoint, Brendan, I would like personally to see more games that are family